Today we are going to start by drawing the Western Auto building, and this will be one of 4 more buildings that we need to draw. So first start by making sure that your paper is turned like mine with the short sides on top and bottom. We are going to start with a vertical line just left of the middle. So I want to find the center here, and I want to be about 1.5 inches from the top. I'm going to move slightly to the left and draw a vertical line going straight down to the bottom of the page. Just a reminder, with these Sharpie pens, you'll want to make sure that you're holding it straight up and down, and if the ink doesn't start flowing right away, just kind of gently go back and forth until you start getting that ink going. I'm going to draw a diagonal line to the left, not all the way to the side of the page, but really close. I'm going to leave a little bit of space there, and then bring that vertical line all the way down to the bottom. On the right side, I'm going to draw a diagonal line going down to the right, almost touch the side of the page, and then continue with a vertical line all the way down to the bottom. So you can see on this building, we're drawing 2 sides of it, so we're making it look 3-dimensional. I'm going to draw this top ledge here. So on the left side, I'm going to draw a diagonal line going to the left, and it can touch the page. On the right side, diagonal line going to the right. In the center here, I'm going to angle it slightly to the left. Then I'm going to connect these 2 short diagonal lines with a long one that mimics the line that I already have for the top of the building. Same thing on the right. I'm going to curve it just slightly. Now I'm going to draw in the arrow sign on the top. This is the Western Auto sign, and we will add the words and the color later. Today we're just going to draw the sign. I'm going to start with the arrow. So right above this corner here, I'm going to draw what looks like a less than sign, 2 diagonal lines, and then I'm going to add a short vertical line from the top and bottom that don't quite meet in the middle. I want to leave a little gap there. Now I'm going to start with the bottom line first. It's going to touch the top and come around to the side and just kind of leave itself there in empty space. So start on the bottom of the arrow, curve all the way around to the top, make a big loop, and then just kind of stop in the middle over here. Make sure you're not connecting to the building or to the arrow. I'm going to repeat that line from the top of the arrow. Try to keep it parallel to the first line I have there. And then here I'm going to draw 2 more vertical lines, this time going away or moving up and down from the 2 curved lines. And then I'm going to draw this little arrow tail here by making kind of a sideways W. So I'm going to zigzag, zigzag, and connect. Now I want it to look like my arrow symbol is actually connected to the building. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line from the left side of the arrow down to the building, and from the very right side of the arrow down to the building. And then I'm just going to kind of draw some support lines, some scaffolding lines in between. And I want to be careful just not to draw over the arrow. I'm going to overlap these lines and work my way around the arrow and just fill in between my 2 lines. Now we are ready to draw in the doors and windows. So on this top ledge here, I'm going to draw in these square windows, but I'm going to angle them to match the ledge itself. So they're not going to be straight vertical and horizontal lines. I want them to fit in the shape. The windows on the right side will kind of be angled to the right a little bit. And it doesn't matter how many you draw. Just draw as many as you can fit. I'm going to leave a little space between the ledge, and I'm going to draw a line that's parallel to the top of the building here, about 1/2 inch below it, and then a line that's parallel to the top of the building on the right side in the same location. And I'm going to add in these little arched windows. They kind of look like McDonald's arches. So I'm going to draw 2 arches close together, and then I'm going to leave a little space and draw 2 more, leave a little space. On the other side, I'll only be able to fit 2. And again, it doesn't matter how many you draw. Just draw however many fit on your building. Then I'm going to leave about 1 inch of space under these 2 diagonal lines we drew in, and I'm going to draw another set close to the bottom. Might be a little more than 1 inch there. And in between, in this box here, I'm going to draw rows of windows. And again, I want the top and bottom to match the top and bottom of that shape. So these are not just squares, they're kind of angled to fit this larger shape that they're inside. And it doesn't matter how many rows you put in there, just whatever fits. Excuse me. Now when I draw the windows on the right side, I'll need to switch my angles so that they mimic this shape. It's kind of a rhombus shape, not really a square. And I'm going to put 3 rows here. That's what I can fit. They don't have to be perfect. All right. Once you finish your windows, we're going to work on the doorways on the bottom section. So first, I'm going to draw in a little bit of trim here because we're going to make some open doorways. I'm going to draw a second diagonal line right under the first one, leaving just the tiniest amount of space here. And then I'm going to add another vertical line on the left and right, coming straight down the side of the building. And then I'm going to add an extra vertical line around the corner here. So one on the left and one on the right. Now this space here, I'm going to divide into 2 doorways. So right in the middle of that space, I'm going to add 2 more vertical lines. And that will leave me 3 empty spaces for my doors. And they are also going to kind of mimic the shape that they're going inside of. So the tops will be angled to match the shape they're in. Now, like I said, we will add some color to this and we'll add the signage on the arrow sign, but for now we're just going to leave it as is. We have one more building we're going to draw, which is technically not a building. It's actually going to be the Kahmann Bridge. And then we'll go back and add some details to the ones that we've drawn. So to draw the bridge, we're going to start with the middle structure because all these lines here are just cables. I want to start with a horizontal line about right in the middle, close to the top, a nice short little horizontal line there. And then I'm going to draw 2 diagonal lines that go to the left from each side of that line and stop about 1 inch from the bottom of the page. Go a little closer. At the bottom, I'm going to connect the 2 diagonal lines with another horizontal line. And then I'm going to change direction. And from the corner of that shape, I'm going to change my angle and draw diagonal lines to the right that go all the way down to the bottom of the page. Now, this will be the side of the bridge closest to us, so we'll go ahead and draw the bottom of the bridge, the road. So I'm going to extend this little tiny horizontal line all the way to the right, and I'm going to almost touch the side, but leave a tiny bit of space there. And I'm going to extend it to the left, and again, almost touch the side, but leave a little space. Then I'm going to draw a line that goes diagonal up to the edge of the page on the left, diagonal up to the edge of the page on the right. Then I'm going to draw a second horizontal line connecting the top of this diagonal with this, but I'm going to go around that middle shape. So I'm going to bring my line straight across, stop at that middle shape, pick my pin up, go around and continue to the edge. And right here on the edge, we'll draw the first foot of the bridge. So from this corner here, I'm going to come straight down to the bottom. And from this corner here, straight down to the bottom. Now we'll draw the other side of the bridge that goes on the other side. So I'm going to start from this corner here, this top right corner, and draw a diagonal line that goes down and to the right and just stops at the top of the bridge platform here. Then I'll move down from the corner and add a second line. So I have kind of this triangle shape. Now, if I were to imagine this line continuing through to the bottom of the bridge, I want to start there and then change my angle and go the opposite way. I'm going to imagine this line coming straight through and also change the direction. So I have kind of this almost a diamond shape. Now we're going to add the cables, but first I want to add the additional posts or feet of the bridge. So I'm going to add 2 more in this section and 2 more in this section. And each foot I want to draw 2 lines. So I'm going to draw 2 lines side by side, leave a little space, and draw 2 more on the left. Same thing on the right side. 2 lines close together, leave a little space, 2 more lines. Eventually, we'll be cutting all of this out between the posts, so we want to make sure our lines aren't too close together. Now, when we draw the cables, we'll start with the left side, and I'm just going to start from this top corner here and draw a diagonal cable that goes all the way to the side of the bridge, straight across. And then I'm just going to keep moving down until I get all the way to this corner here, drawing more lines. These lines are not going to overlap anything. So we're just going to keep straight. They're going to get shorter and shorter until we get to the corner. On the right side of the bridge, the cables are going to overlap this shape here. So we have to kind of just pretend it's not there. I'm going to start by connecting this corner to this side of the bridge with a straight diagonal line straight across. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep making my lines shorter until they get to this corner. And I'm going to pretend like these 2 lines aren't even there. So I'm just going to draw right over them because I want the cables to look like they're in front. And we will not cut out the shapes between the cables. We will just color it to match the background. So now our bridge is complete. We are going to, don't forget to write your name on there in the corner. We are going to get all of our buildings out now and add a few details to them. Okay, I've got all of my buildings pulled out here, and we are going to add a little bit of detail to each of them. So I'm going to start with the Western Auto building, and for this one, you'll need a white pencil and a red pencil. We're going to start by writing the Western Auto words on the sign here. And kind of coloring it in. I'm going to use my white pencil to color the arrow first, and do have to give a little pressure to make that pencil show up nice and bright. And color in my white arrow all the way through. And then we're going to use the red pencil to write in Western Auto. Now, don't worry if it doesn't fit perfectly. I'm going to kind of start all the way over here on the side because the word Western is larger. And I'm going to press nice and hard with the tip of my pencil W, E. Now your T should be right in the middle. So S, and then T, and we want to make sure T is in the middle. If your T is not in the middle, you might want to draw smaller letters. E, R, and it's okay if you draw over the white N. So I've got my word Western, and if you want to go over it again to make your letters a little thicker, I'm kind of drawing back and forth over them to make them nice and bold. And then the word auto is just 4 letters, A-U-T-O. I'm going to write that right below. And if you press hard with your pencil, it should kind of cover the Sharpie or the white pencil enough to where you can read it. So once I have my letters written in, I'm going to color a few more things. I'm going to switch back to my white. These top 2 sections here, I'm going to color white, but I'm not going to color any of the windows. So I'm going to color around the windows on these 2 ledges that stick out. I'm just filling in this whole section minus the windows. And then also the section with the arched windows, I'm going to color again around the windows. I'm going to leave those gray. I am going to color one more thing white, which are these little skinny frames around the doors. So not the doors themselves, but just the framing around and between the doors. These little skinny shapes here. Now, this whole section in the center with the square windows, we're going to color red to make it look like brick. But we're going to leave the windows gray. So I'm just going to go straight across between my rows. And then I can go straight down between my columns. And I'm going to color both sides of the building. Not my windows. All right, once I've colored those 2 things, my detail work on the Western Auto building is complete. And we are going to next work on our Kahmann Center building that we drew last week. This building, we want it to look shiny. So we're going to use our Sharpie marker. This is not the pen we were drawing with earlier. This is a marker. And also the white pencil to add a little bit of highlights. So what I'm going to do is start at the tip of each one of these shapes here. And I'm going to kind of follow the curve, but go straight down the middle with a thick black line. It should be thicker than the lines you drew with the pen. And I'm not touching the edge. I'm kind of just going down the center, but curving along the line that's already there. I'm going to do it on both sections of the building. If you feel like your line's not thick enough, you can always kind of go back over it. All right, now between that dark black line and the outside curve, I'm going to color with my white pencil. And this will make it look a little bit more reflective. So we know this building is super shiny. And even though it is gray, kind of a metallic silver color, the part that shines against the sun, of course, looks a lot brighter. So this will make our building look a little more 3D. All right. Next, I'm going to set these two aside. And I don't need to add any more details to the Liberty Memorial or the Kahmann Bridge. So at least not until after we cut them. So I'm going to add those to the pile. And we're going to do Union Station and Nelson Atkins, just a few shadows. So I'm going to continue using the Sharpie marker for this. And let's pull up Union Station first. This is the one with the towers on the sides. And all I'm going to color on here are these 3 empty spaces above each of the arched windows. So I'm going to kind of outline the edges first so I don't accidentally color in the columns, and then fill in that shape so it looks like it's in shadow. I'm not going to color in the columns, so I want to make sure I'm on the outside of the Sharpie lines that are already there. One more. And once you have those 3 shapes colored in, this building will be complete too. And we're going to move on to our last one, which is the Nelson Atkins. And on this building, we're going to color a few things. First, we drew all these columns here in the boxes on the sides. I'm going to color every other one. I'm going to leave the first one gray and color in between the second and third line. Then I'm going to leave one blank and color the next one. And for me, I'm only going to have 2 sections colored in here, and then I'll have 3 columns. I'm going to repeat that on the right side. Just going to color every other one. Then in the center section here, I'm going to do a little coloring as well. We left a teeny little sliver of space between the edge of this shape here and the first column. So I'm going to color that in. And should have left a similar sliver on the other side. And then I'm going to color between the columns above the large arch too. And again, I think it really helps if you kind of draw in the edge of that shape first so you don't get too close and go over. All right, now all of my buildings are complete, and next week when you come back to art, we'll cut these out and start adding them to our project.